Welcome to the 12th installment of my 10 questions interview series. Today's interview is with NimTV. NimTV is a short filmmaker, podcaster, movie reviewer, and video essayist. Welcome to the show.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So, why do you do YouTube?
Um, t- t- I mean, I guess why anyone does YouTube because they want people to. They have something that they want to share with people. I guess. I mean, I want to get into like the film industry and everything. That's sort of like my main goal in life. In some way. So I think it's just a good way to sort of maybe help get to that goal. It's a place to put, like, if I make an amateur short film, it's a place to put it for people to actually be able to see. It's a place. I mean, I really enjoy just like sharing my opinions on things like movies and stuff occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
If I have something interesting to say or whatever, things like that. So yeah, and if there's any opinion, there may be times in the future where I do stuff that isn't 100% related to film and like TV and stuff like that, because that's mostly all I've done. But there may be times where I don't. It's just it's overall gonna kind of be just like whatever I feel like sharing with the world. But I don't know. I just enjoy
Mm-hmm.
sharing my opinions, I guess.
Well, I mean, a lot of people do. But as far as straying away from TV and movies, how dare you break away from your branding?
No, yes. Yeah, I don't really know what that would be. It's just like if there's ever a time where I'd
Mm-hmm.
feel like doing something,
Re-uploading
like
your Minecraft videos.
I don't even have them. Like I didn't even have them backed up. So they're just non-existent. That's there's okay. That's maybe not true. There is like one of them that's like privated. That's like the
Mm,
first. I just kept it just because it was like the first video I ever made. So I was like, I should probably keep it
mm.
anyways and just leave it privated. I kind of wish I left more of them up, or at least like back them up somewhere so I could look back at them. But hindsight's 2020. I can't really go back and do that now.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's kind of the other way around. I haven't made a backup of anything on my channel, but I know that a couple of people have. So,
Yeah, so now what I do really is just every time I make a new video, I keep it on my
yeah,
computer. You
yeah.
know what I mean? I don't like upload it, cuz what I originally did is I would upload a video, and most of the time my videos would just be like nothing worth saving, I
Hmm.
guess. In my eyes, I'd be like whatever, I'm just doing this
Well,
random
it's the
Minecraft video, and I didn't
sentimental,
want to
right?
take up a lot of storage on my just like delete it off.
Hmm. But it's like the sentimental value that comes along with it, which is actually the
Yeah.
big thing. Not really the quality of the works.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I guess I see that more now, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's get on to like TV and movies in a little bit. So can you explain, without spoiling anything, your Bojack Horseman obsession? Since you've reviewed all of the parts of Bojack Horseman, what's so fascinating about it?
So, so, I mean, I kind of explained this a little bit. I mean, you definitely get this more if you watch the videos,
Mm-hmm.
especially the last video I did, which didn't necessarily review the end of the show as much as it just kind of talked about the show as a whole and what the show means to me as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this video I did fairly recently. It was within the past few months, I think, less than 2 months ago, maybe. I don't know, something like that. But basically, I just really connected with it, like emotionally. I think, I think it's really written in terms of just, I don't know, like it's hard to describe like quickly, but I think it handles a lot of the like real issues that it deals with really well. I think with this, it deals with all these real issues, but under this like weird animated universe that's like different than our own. Anthropomorphic animals and like a lot of like weird comedy and like funny hijinks and stuff. But
Yeah.
like I like how it kind of like hides this like deep dark like thing of like, you know, mental illnesses and stuff underneath that. It's really interesting, and it deals with those really well. I really connected with especially the main character of Bojack, and just seeing all the ups and downs of his life and all the mistakes he's made along the way, things he's tried to do to like fix those, but then like falling back into them. Just, I don't know.
Making them worse.
There's a lot that goes into it. I really like the sense of humor that it has as well. That's another thing. I don't know. It's just, ever since I first watched it, it's been something that I've always really just, you know, loved. I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Oh no, I think that was well said. If you could talk to your future self right now, what would you say?
I mean, I don't really know what my future self is like. So it's kind of hard to say. Like, the question of what would you say to your past self is a little bit easier to answer, but like,
I know it's easier, which is why I asked, what
yeah,
would you say to your future
exactly.
self?
So,
Do you have any questions for your
self,
future self, or what's up?
okay, so what would I learn from my future self? I guess I would just kind of ask, kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I like the idea of not knowing anything about the future, though. Kind of like it's a mystery, and you don't really know until it comes. Like, on one hand, it'd be nice to be able to ask things like, "Oh, are you successful in the career path that you've chosen?" or "How successful?" Blah blah blah, whatever, these kinds of things. But at the same time, it's almost better if I don't know those things, because it's like better if I kind of come across them naturally instead of being like, "Ha, I know it." I don't know. So it's hard to say, really.
Interesting. You make a lot of videos about Star Wars. Why is that?
I mean, I have pretty much been in love with Star Wars ever since I watched the original trilogy first when I was 7 years old. So it's kind of based on that. There was definitely a point where I kind of fell out of my love for it for like a temporary time when I was a teenager, maybe, but then I kind of got back into it. Basically, ever since I was 7, I've been mostly into Star Wars in one form or another. I've even, when I was younger, created stories within the Star Wars universe myself. I personally have probably seen the original trilogy like more times than I can even think of, like so many times that it's like ingrained in my brain at this point. I really love a lot of, you know, and that's extended with obviously like shows like the Clone Wars, which extended a lot of the universe,
show.
which really added to my love of it as well. So like there's just so much, I don't know, there's just so much, I guess, history with it that I have. Also, I just think that like The Empire Strikes Back, for instance, is like one of the greatest movies of all time, in my opinion. One of my favorite movies of all time. I think Episode 4 would be as well. Those two specifically. So like, because they're two of my favorite movies of all time, it's just kind of a big thing. And yeah, it's just always been something that I've loved since I was 7.
Awesome. Me too. I've kind of tapered down in my love of Star Wars since the recent movies came out, but and a little bit before that. It started before that.
Yeah, I don't hate them. I think they're okay. That's mostly where I'm at with them. I'm like, I enjoy them enough, but that's about it. Like, I don't want to rewatch them a lot, but I don't hate them.
I think my love of Star Wars went down from after they canceled the Clone Wars show. I was like,
yeah,
that was the last Star Wars property, and I was really disappointed by the first of the trilogy.
And then they bring back, then they go, oh, but we're doing Rebels, and then like I just watched. I'd actually never saw Rebels. I just watched the first 2 episodes of Rebels for the first time ever today, just to kind of see it, because I just finished watching the new episodes of Clone Wars. They finally finished the show. And I was like, you know, I'm just curious. I've heard mostly negative things, and it was really just boring, and I didn't care about it at all.
It's extremely meh. But when they, it's kind of spoilers. But like, how much do you intend to watch further?
Like, I want the main thing I want out of it, because like I don't care about any of the new characters they have in there. I want to see the characters from Clone Wars that I loved being brought back. I want to see what they do with
Yeah.
Ahsoka and Maul and Rex. And there's a scene where like Ahsoka actually fights Vader and realizes it's an Anakin. Like I want to see that
Yeah.
stuff. That's the stuff that I think is going to be really interesting, just because of the investment I had in that show.
They're definitely the best part, but I think it's like it has to do with the direction and the writing of the episodes. Just isn't up to par to handle the like post execute Order 66 post Order 66 in my opinion.
Yeah, it seems really like dumbed down compared to the other one. Like more like, oh, we got to appeal to like little, just kind of annoying to me. I felt like Clone Wars did a good job of balancing sort of like it being a kids show but also being really adult at the same time. Like I think it did a good job at balancing that to where it's like it's safe for kids to watch and kids will be entertained by it, but
kind of like Avatar: The Last Airbender, right?
Right, it's also heavy enough, has heavy enough themes and you know, things like that to where enjoy it as well. But I think they just threw a lot of that away for Rebels from what I've seen, and like the animation style is just
it's like
not
it's all
good.
incorporated in the style. Like you can just tell that all of the characters from Rebels are just made to look like they could be sold as toys, you know?
Yeah, and it was always weird because like it's the same creator, like they still have like Dave Filoni creating and stuff. I mean, it might be because like this was after
probably.
Disney. Disney might have made a lot of changes because this was after Disney bought it, and like maybe because George Lucas wasn't involved anymore, or like I don't know,
probably a little bit of both.
What caused the changes? But it's just weird. So I'll probably try to watch through it just so I've seen it.
Yeah,
but
right. What do you think your most controversial opinion about a movie or TV show is? Or
honestly, I don't know. That's hard to think of because like there'll be occasional times. Honestly, a lot of times I agree with like a lot of what like the critics will say. Well, not depends on which critics, but like a lot of times I agree on the general consensus that other critics have. So, which isn't like oh, it's not like I'm just like copying them or anything. It's more or less just kind of like I hold a lot of the same sort of values that they do when it comes to filmmaking. So I don't think I have any like extremely radical, like really weird opinions. There probably definitely are some. I just can't really think of them at the moment. But yeah, that is actually a good question to think for me to think about.
All right, well, I think if at least in my opinion, if you want to know my most controversial opinion, I think is that Jar Binks is the funniest character in all of Star Wars.
Yeah, see, I don't agree with that. But I mean, that's I'm not one to like think somebody's stupid for having an opinion that's different than mine, or like belittle somebody for it.
Jar Binks is only kind of funny.
That's
still a controversial opinion.
I mean, Jar Binks is very easily memeable, which is nice. So that's always good. But that's not necessarily something you want from a Star Wars movie, I guess. I don't know, like. But
I think he was just a failed experiment.
For sure, he was definitely
George Lucas.
He was definitely the character overall was definitely very like groundbreaking because it was the first
like
ever
technically
motion.
Yeah,
technically because it was the first motion capture character ever made. It was so the way I like
a black caricature.
It didn't. But like for like the time period, and he actually looks pretty good for like the first one that's ever been done. Actually, looked pretty well.
All the Star Wars movies hold up really well for VFX.
Oh yeah, I think
every one of them.
I mean, every Star Wars movie. Well, at least the original 6 were always groundbreaking in special effects.
Yeah.
I think the new ones are like they have good special effects. They're not necessarily groundbreaking.
They're not groundbreaking
forward,
but they're just like if you did what everyone else did, but had $1 billion.
Right. Because I mean, like you look at like even like Episode 2, which is probably one of almost my least favorite Star Wars movie. It's really bad, but like that movie in and of itself was actually really influential for the push for filming digitally. Because before that, most movies were just done all on film, and then that movie pushed, and because of that, now like every movie is filmed on digital.
Yeah,
now.
I thought that was 1999 when George Lucas did The Phantom Menace. That was on digital, so it was
Yes, but I think if I could be wrong, it might be just the trilogy in general. I think I remember hearing somewhere that 2 was like the one that was like the big one, the push where I honestly could be wrong.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Well, I definitely think coming up with the clones and animating all of that was probably some sort of breakthrough.
For sure. I mean, there was definitely like the fact that most of it is just like there's very few like actual sets that are like on actual location. There's a lot of green screen stuff. That's probably potentially. I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, obviously, green screen was used a lot in the past, but like with the green screen with like pretty much entire CGI backgrounds is like I guess probably a big thing then.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, but yeah.
Okay. When the time comes for you to make your first feature film, what will it be about?
So that really depends. I have multiple like ideas for things. It's just kind of like you never know what.
Well, yeah, of course, nothing's set in stone. But if you get right now, you're making your movie. You've got whatever ideas. What would it be about? What would you do?
I don't know how long this is. How long does a film have to be considered a feature?
I think it's an hour, like an hour exactly, or an hour and a half, something like that.
Well, never mind. This one's not really feature length, then I guess. I don't know.
Well, you can make the credits extra long.
Yeah, make the credits like 20 minutes long, just 40% so it counts
of the movie.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I don't really know. I mean, there's a lot of there's definitely like ideas I've had. Like I've come up with when I was young, I came up with multiple like stories, ideas and everything. Like I came up with a whole like extended like universe similar to like the Marvel type of thing, but like before that was a thing, I came up with.
You're the real OG.
Oh yeah, I came up with this whole thing. I still want to use like some of the ideas I had in it. A lot of them were kind of dumb, I think, but like it's kind of like superhero type stories, but not really. I don't know. It's hard to describe them, but like there's a few like ideas in there that I kind of want to use, and maybe that would be what it would be.
Like, what would an example of one or two of those example ideas? What are those?
So one of them is like this story that was originally, I was going to write it as a book. I actually did write it as a book once, but it was a terrible book. I wrote it when I was 13 years old.
Bruh.
But it was, and if I made it, it would have to be reworked like from the ground up, like the same basic concept, but completely reworked. Cause it was just bad. But, basically it's like these four teenagers, 3 of them are brothers. Then they have like their one friend. I think I'm mixing it to 3, just the 3 brothers. I honestly haven't really figured out all these details out yet. It's kind of like it's a constant evolving thing that just changes in my brain over time. But and essentially they gain their father goes missing. They find out like he was working for some secret agency thing or whatever. In the meantime, an accident happens. Their father was like a scientist in working for this group or whatever. His experiment goes wrong, and like it gives the 3 of the brothers superpowers. Okay. And then throughout it, they're trying to find their father. They learn more about this underground of all this like criminal stuff that's going on. and they learn about this world of like spies and all this kind of stuff while trying to figure out their superpowers, while also learning how to like each one of them has their own sort of issues that makes them not able to like relate to the other brothers very well. It's a story about three brothers who don't get along very well, sort of coming together, and I don't know, getting over a lot of their flaws. And I don't know, it was just kind of like a basic idea. I wanted to have like it was an idea that I had. I don't know if it's anything like that would be huge or like a really groundbreaking idea.
I don't know. Maybe if
but,
you made it when you had the idea, completely new. It sounds like the Fantastic Three or Fantastic Four. I don't know.
Kind of.
I mean,
yeah.
It's not really so much about the plot, right? It's how you do the plot or how you do what everyone's.
I mean, that's kind of what I was looking at, was a lot of like, okay, what are the personal struggles that the characters are going through that kind of influence like the emotional attachment to things, which was kind of the main thing I wanted to look at. Because realistically, when I came up with it, I was young. When I came up with the basic plot and characters, the basics of it, I was young, and I, just kind of was like going off of superheroes and stuff that I enjoyed at the time, different stories and stuff that I enjoyed at the time. So it might seem like it's not a very like original sounding story, but I don't know. It's hard to say what my first official feature film will be. It's just going to be whatever I find really interesting at the time, probably.
Well, whatever it is, I hope it gets made. And if you send it to me, I'll watch it.
Oh yeah.
It's 10 years from now or whenever it happens. All right. So talking about you making a movie, well, what's your favorite movie?
I mean, there's multiple sort of like contenders for favorite movie. One that always comes up, I mean, obviously, like I said, the Star Wars movies, like Episode 4, Episode 5, those always come up when it comes to like favorite movies. But just for the fact that I think they are great movies, but also the fact that they're extremely nostalgic for me. Another one that always comes up is like The Princess Bride.
Ooh, that's
so. This is yes, this is an extremely nostalgic movie for me as well. I grew up. This is the one movie that I may have watched more times than the original Star Wars. I'm not completely sure on that, but this is the only movie I can think of that probably comes close. Yeah, the only contender for watched the most times. So it's more or less the nostalgia, and also I just think that it's really cleverly written. Like the dialogue is really fun, and the character interactions are fun, and I mean that's pretty much what makes the movie.
Yeah.
The story isn't anything particularly amazing. None of the set design, I mean, like the sword fight is actually pretty impressive and well done. I will say that. But beyond that, like a lot of the overall production value, I mean, it was very low budget, but none of it's like extremely impressive. It's mostly just the dialogue writing, and the actors' portrayals and their interactions with each other. It is the most quotable movie of all time. It is very notorious for being like extremely quotable. There's so many quotable, memeable moments in there that are just perfect.
Inconceivable.
Yes. I use that word on a daily basis now. Like it's just part of my vocabulary. But yeah, there's that. Another one that always comes up when I think of favorite movie of all time is Fight Club.
Oh baby, yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know if I have a lot to say about that, other than I just think it's a really good movie. It's really surprising. Like you don't really know what the movie's about as you're watching it. You're like, I thought based on the title, I thought it was just about them starting a fight club, and that's about it. Like, what is this movie? And then like you're intrigued about what's going to happen next because it's legitimately extremely unpredictable. And then it's just a fun ride throughout the whole thing. Figuring out how crazy everything can get. And there's a lot more to it than just that. but I don't really want to get into a lot.
Yeah,
But
we
yeah,
don't.
that's always
No,
up there.
first rule of Fight Club: no talking about Fight Club.
Right, we can't talk about it too much. Yeah, I'm just that's probably like the millionth YouTube video that's made that joke. Where they're like, "Oh, guy," like somebody will be every time somebody reviews Fight Club on YouTube, they're like, "Oh, guys, I'm about to break the first rule."
The
Well, first
millionth
and second,
and proud. Millionth video and proud.
really. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. That's the exact kind of mentality that led to tons of innovation.
Yes. I don't know. There are definitely others that kind of like come in and out as I go on as like top. I never am able to be like, yeah, this is 100% my number one favorite. But
I have I kind of have this almost the opposite problem. Instead of having like some that I've watched and they've just stuck with me for a while, I do have those, but it's almost like every movie that I watch is my next favorite movie.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely have that sometimes where I'll watch a movie and I'm like, oh, this is definitely in my top 5, top 10 favorite movies of all time. And then later on, I'm like, is it?
My top.
I mean,
10
like it's a good movie.
100
right,
movies in it.
I'm like, yeah, my top 10 list has 100 movies in it. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of. I don't know. Maybe eventually I'll actually form like a list or like a tier list or like something. I did that with like Star Wars. I think you may have watched that video.
Yes, I saw it.
I don't know. The tier list. Yeah. I did a tier list of Star Wars movies because I'm like, some of these I can't like choose which one's better. So I'm like, I guess I'll do a tier list.
S tier.
Like
E tier. Z tier.
Is episode 1 the worst Star Wars movie or is episode 2 the worst? I don't know. Boom, just put him in the bottom tier.
Yeah, like when you were talking about the Phantom Menace fight in the first movie, I was like, oh wow, the first movie is a lot less boring than I thought it was. And I remember it being when I watched it when I was 9 and never revisited it because it didn't leave an impression on me.
That's honestly that's the most fun to watch part of the movie. I even say in that video, I go at the end of the video, I'm like, there's finally something worth watching in this movie and it's ruined by this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like the final line in my video.
Actually, no, I think I watched it when I was like 8 or 7 or something. 6 maybe, but like I remember thinking the Jar Binks blowing up an entire bunch of army of droids. Now that was epic. 7-year-old me had no taste.
But I mean, like I mean, you definitely change your perspective of film from the time you're young. Like I certainly have a lot. There was a time. This is very interesting. When I was probably 8 years old, probably 8, something like that, 8 or 9. I watched. This is when I first watched the prequels because I watched the original trilogy first. We ended up getting it on DVD, so we rewatched that multiple times. We hadn't seen the prequels yet, and then we started watching the prequels finally. And I watched episode 2. When I watched episode 2 for the first time, I said that it was my favorite Star Wars movie. I was 8 years old. I was like
so young,
so naive. Because right, here's the thing: is like people complain about like the plot. I didn't care about the plot. I saw a bunch of clones shooting a bunch of droids at the end, and I was like, "That's cool." I saw the arena scene was actually pretty fun. Like they're fighting these giant creatures and stuff. I was like, "Awesome," things like that. When it comes to like people complaining about the romance scenes, well, as an 8-year-old, I ignore all romance scenes anyways. So like, I didn't even pay attention to that, And as an 8-year-old, I don't judge a movie based on the movie as a whole. I judge it based on like the best scenes, and I thought the best scenes were just fun to watch. And I was so used to the original trilogy at the time that like seeing new Star Wars was just exciting for me too. That's new Star Wars that I'd never seen before was just really exciting because I loved Star Wars. So I guess that probably played into it a lot as well, But yeah.
Do you have any film or YouTube creators that you're inspired by?
Definitely. One of the movie, well, when it comes to like movie reviewers, let's say on YouTube, the one that I always go back to, like whenever I watch a movie, a new movie, I always go back to Chris Stuckman, actually.
Oh.
So I feel like he's not necessarily the most entertaining movie reviewer on YouTube. Like, there's definitely ones who do like really funny reviews or like, you know, more analytical reviews and stuff like that. But I think Chris is one of my most trusted movie reviewers. Like, he seems extremely genuine, and he seems to actually know a lot about what he's talking about.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, I don't know if he like went to film school or not. I honestly have
I
no
think he
clue
makes
or anything
movies
like
now.
that. Yeah, he's I mean, he's made movies before. Like, he
He's
made like
reviewed his
amateur
own
movies.
movies.
Yeah, he made amateur movies when he was in like high school and stuff. Like, he made amateur Indiana Jones movies and stuff.
Yeah.
But but no, like, I feel like he knows what he's talking about when it comes to, you know, the judging the making of a movie. He does a good job at being as unbiased as he can. Obviously, he will put in his opinions, but like, let's say if he watches a movie and he goes, it's a well-made movie, it's a good movie, but I didn't enjoy it because it's just not for me or whatever, he'll acknowledge that. He'll be like, oh, it's just, you know, I think if you are this type of person who likes this type of movie, you will really like it. He'll put his own like opinions aside to be like, okay, these are the types of people who would like this, or like really try to think about those kinds of things instead of just being like, you know, yeah. So I don't know. I think he does a really good job with that. So I always go back to him. So there's that one. In terms of movie reviews, that's probably a big one. In terms of, I'm trying to think of like movies. I mean, movies that inspired me. Directors. Okay, so I mean, that kind of changes over time. I mean, there's always like, I think nowadays I definitely have a list of like directors that I really like. There's I'm trying to think like why, I don't know why I can't think. Stanley Kubrick is always up there. I mean, he died, I think he died in the 90s if I'm thinking correctly, but
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest takeaways from his filmmaking career is I like the idea that he was always really artistic with his movies, and he never like just made movies to be popular or like made movies to like, he was never like, oh, I'm just going to put this in the movie because audiences like to see that. He was like, oh, I'm going to be experimental with my movies. Like, pretty much all of his movies were like really just well made artistically, whether you like them or not. I mean, I think they're all really good movies. I honestly haven't even seen all of his movies, but I think, you know, they're just like really experimental and interesting, and there's a reason why they're some of the, you know, he would change genres and make that movie one of the best of its genre. You know, like he made 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's considered one of the best sci-fi movies of all time. You know, he directed The Shining. That's considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time. You know, things like that. Or like, what's the Full Metal Jacket? That would probably be considered one of the greatest war movies of all time. A Clockwork Orange could probably be considered one of the best, like, I mean, there are other directors I like. I don't know.
How dare you not mention Quentin Tarantino?
So, yeah, I know everybody says that. Interesting fact: I've never seen a Tarantino movie, which is like, you know, I know it's blasphemy, especially for somebody who's like, yeah,
heretic,
who wants to be a filmmaker.
How dare you watch movies and not see his?
You're not allowed to review movies if you haven't seen this.
Opinion invalidated instantly.
No. Oh no, there's definitely people out there who like that, where they're like, "Oh, you haven't seen this movie?"
I am
well,
superior.
clearly, clearly your opinion on other movies isn't valid. Or like, you think this movie is bad, clearly your opinion isn't valid. Or you think this movie is good, clearly your opinion is,
Yeah.
No, I don't think anybody said that to me specifically, but I've seen it like other against other people. I'm
Yeah.
not big enough to get that kind of criticism.
I definitely have to say you should check them out. They are some really good movies.
Yeah, no, I've been meaning to for a while.
Tell-
I
tell-
just haven't gotten around to it.
You gotta you just get around to it. It's worth your time. You will not regret your 2 hours you put in.
Yes.
Definitely
Well, if
check
I
out
watch all
Pulp
of them, it's
Fiction.
going to be more than 2 hours.
That's true. That's
If I
true.
watch all of them, it's going to be a good like
You
20
don't need to watch
hours.
all of them. Just watch like Pulp Fiction is your minimum for Tarantino pass. If you watch
Well,
Pulp
yeah, I
Fiction,
think
you get all the references.
that's the one I think would need to watch
It's
out
a
of all of them
classic, pretty much. And
because that one, I think out of all the Tarantino movies, that's the only one that makes like is always in the running for like greatest movie of all time out of all the Tarantino
that's
movies.
true, but it's also like the most Tarantino of all of Tarantino's movies. It's
Right.
his defining movie. After he made Reservoir Dogs, and that
Right.
made a lot of money, and then he made Pulp Fiction, and boom, that's a huge boost or whatever. So
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm definitely going to see it eventually. It's just, it's inevitable. It's just, I haven't.
inconceivable. All right, so why do you keep deleting your old videos?
I mean, I only did that once. I
Okay,
did
well,
it because I mean, I still had I had already been doing like NimTV for a while, and I hadn't done Nimcraft. So for those who don't know, I started out as a Minecraft YouTuber called Nimcraft,
who didn't?
and eventually switched to NimTV. Actually, I switched to NimTV before my channel even hit a year, I think, of being around. I don't know. My channel just recently hit like 3 years, or no, 4 years. Sorry, 4 years since I first uploaded on YouTube. But yeah, it was before I even hit like a year, and I stopped doing it. And then I switched it to NimTV because I was switching to like movie reviews and stuff. Because this was when I was like really like set that I wanted to be a filmmaker and stuff. I mean, I kind of already was before, but this was when I was like really leaning into it. And I was like, you know what, I should do movie reviews, even if it might be a while before I make an actual movie, but like I can at least do something that's like related to it. So I started doing like that, and I did a series where I legitimately reviewed every single episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars individually in a video. It wasn't very good, especially like the earlier ones. Honestly, the reason why I quit that actually is because I never finished it. I made it to like season 5, and I was in the middle of season 5.
That's a lot of
Didn't finish it.
episodes.
Yeah. Well, the plan was to eventually finish it, but I got so sick and tired of it that I just wanted to stop, because it was like at first it was fun, but eventually it felt so monotonous, because a lot of the opinions I would have about one episode would be very similar to the opinions I'd have about another episode.
It got
And it just
repetitive.
felt so repetitive, and I was like, I just want to watch the show and enjoy it. I don't want to talk about it anyway.
It's like
Um,
detracting from your enjoyment of the
but
show with that.
yeah. So basically a time came when I was like, you know what, I want to like take my channel a little bit more seriously. I was like, I want to be able to show this channel to a future employer and have it be taken more seriously. If they see all these old Minecraft videos, if they see like my old movie reviews where I had this terrible intro, which says it was this terrible intro where I had it for Nimcraft. Somebody made it for me. Soon after they made it for me, I switched to NimTV, and I was like, I don't want to get rid of this intro. This person made this intro for me. Like, that would be like, that seems kind of rude. Just not use it anymore. They literally just gave it to me. So I literally just edited the intro to put NimTV over top of the craft in the intro. And I was like, originally I did it as a joke, because I'd made a video where it was about me changing my name and stuff. So I did it like, I think it worked in that video. Like, that was fine. But then I continued to use it. like an idiot. It just looks bad. There was a video that used to be my #1 most viewed video, over 1,000 views. It's on my channel now. It's privated because it's bad. It had that intro. There were comments complaining about the intro. Also, the comment threads on that video, one specific comment thread was just absolutely insane. But that's like a whole separate topic.
Oh, no. Please indulge us.
It was basically, do you know the YouTuber Ralph the Movie Maker?
Oh, yes, Ralph.
Yeah. So I enjoy his videos, and I found out he made like a film once when he was, I think he made this movie when he was like, yeah, well, this was, the most recent one he did was like Lover maybe, but I haven't seen that, but
that's Black.
This was before that even. It was King Candy.
Yeah.
I think he was like 17 at the time, 18 when he made it. I don't really know. I don't remember. I decided to review it because I was like, hey, that's cool. Probably not a lot of people are reviewing it, so like maybe I'll get views from it. And that's why it became my most viewed video, because there was like no reviews for this movie except for like 1 or 2 on YouTube. So if you searched King Candy movie review, mine was like one of the first one of the first ones that came up. One of the other ones that came up was somebody else's review where he pretty much just tore Ralph the Movie Maker to shreds, tore his movie to shreds. He had a separate video just talking about his channel and why he hates his channel. And it was all just like stupid criticisms that were just like dumb, that you could literally just boil down to like, okay, so it was an amateur film that a 17-year-old made that had like no budget. Yeah, of course it's going to be like it's fine for what it is. But this guy hated Ralph for some reason. I don't know. It was weird.
He reviewed the Minions movie and gave it a bad rating.
Oh yeah, that's definitely why. Because everybody loves the Minions movie.
It's the best movie ever.
Especially people. Yes, especially adults.
It's actually like the peak of movies.
I mean, it is. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that when I was talking about my favorite movies.
Yeah, that was a missed opportunity.
But no. So basically, he commented on my video. Actually, he found my video. I didn't find him until after he commented on my video. Basically, going, "Wow, like
simp."
Because I gave essentially a positive review. I was like, yeah, as far as like a whatever cheaply made, 40-minute film by, an amateur goes, it was pretty entertaining. Whatever. That was my review. I was like, I don't remember exactly what I said. The video still exists. It's just in private mode. It's not a good video. This was back when my videos were just bad. But anyways, he goes off about how, oh my gosh, there are so many better indie films out there, and you're just not finding the right ones. Here, I'll recommend you this one. But it was this whole thing. And then it starts this whole big comment thread underneath of other people. I wasn't involved in a lot of this. I ignored a lot of this because I was like, I don't want to get involved in this conversation. I was always a very like respectful person when I talked to people in comments. I'm never like attacking people. People attacking him for him just constantly attacking Ralph and being like, wow, you're actually kind of pathetic for doing this, then him going back at them. And it gets in this whole big thing, which is just spews of like really massive, obscure, ridiculous insults against each other and just constant back and forth between him and like multiple other people in this comment that this is on one of my videos. It's like, as a small YouTuber, I think at the time I probably had, I want to say I had less than 100 subscribers at the time. I probably did. It was just crazy to see this going off. And I was like, what the heck? Because, as somebody who almost never even gets comments, and when he does, just gets good video or something like that. And that's it, like, and that's rare. I was just like blown away. I was like, this is ridiculous. But that comment thread you can still find. Oh, I mean, I can still find. You can.
Rumor has it, it's still going on to this day.
I think I took a screenshot of one of the comments just because it was ridiculous. But I don't know. Maybe I'll make a video about it someday. I don't know.
Actually, that's a cool story. I'd watch that video, even though you just told the story here. I'd still watch
Like
a video if you made
it's
it.
somewhat disappointing. So, anyways, back to what I was saying before. So I deleted a bunch of the videos because I just didn't like the quality of them. I didn't like that I used that intro. I deleted every video that had that intro because it just looked so bad. I took it down to, and I deleted all of the Star Wars: The Clone Wars reviews series. Because I wanted to delete a lot of the earlier ones because they were really bad or whatever. But I was like, I can't delete the earlier ones without deleting all of them. I don't want to keep like the last end of the series. I'm like, I'm not even gonna fit it. I don't even want to finish it anyway. So I got rid of all that. It was just a crazy time. Some videos I privated. I privated the Ralph the Movie Maker, the King Candy movie review, because it was the most viewed video. I thought that would be an interesting one to just keep privated. I privated my first video. Did my 1 year of my channel anniversary video. I privated. There was like a few others. So maybe I'll make a video like looking back on them at some point. I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
That was a lot just to explain why I deleted all my stuff.
It'll be a 2-hour long video. It'll be your first feature film.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we talked about the podcast a little bit, but what was the best episode of the Nimcast in your opinion?
Ooh. I do actually have an answer for this. This is a good... Okay, so the Nimcast was a podcast that me and Lord Pasta did.
Previous
little
guest
over
on the show.
we ended it a little over a year ago. We ended it at 20 episodes. At the time, we actually were pretty good at being consistent in like doing a new episode every week. It's not on my YouTube channel at the moment. I think Pasta has some of the episodes on his channel, but you can find it other places. You can find it on Anchor, which is a podcast app. You can find it on Spotify and some other podcasting apps. I forget all of them. There's multiple. But so my favorite episode here, let me look at the list. I know what it is. I just have to look at it. So was episode, I don't know. Have you listened to all of it or no?
Oh, no, I have not. I tried a bit, and it's not that it wasn't entertaining. It's just podcasts for the most part, and listening to them not my thing.
Sure, it was because it was. Yeah, sure.
Okay, you caught me. I'm lying through my teeth. It was terrible.
Because I'm on your show, I should say like, oh, the episode that you were in. No, that was fun.
You should.
Okay. Otherwise.
Okay. Besides the episode I was in.
Okay. So I would say episode 12, the one that was with a YouTuber called Geeky Glasses TV. Right. Who is he does a lot of like movie type content. He's one that I've actually he has a good amount. He had a good like 20,000 some subscribers at the time. I think I don't know where he's at now, but
20,000,
something like 20,000 something. I don't know.
Oh, I think I've seen that guy around actually.
Geeky Glasses TV. He's like what accent? Where's he from?
Britain.
I want to say he's. I don't want to like. I'm trying to think of his accent. I don't want to like get it wrong and be like offensive. It's like Irish or Scottish.
Okay,
that's all
I think.
But anyways,
seen someone with that channel around somewhere.
I mean, you could look at the episode and see if you reckon the Nimcast episode. Listen to the Nimcast episode.
Ooh, I don't know if I have the strength.
But I think it was the best. I think talking to him, he was probably my favorite of our guests. Besides you, of course.
Oh, you're just gonna what is it? Throw Spike Viper to the side wheel like that?
I mean, he was our most popular of all of our guests in terms of like he was the one with the most subscribers. But he was good. No, I liked him as a guest.
I'm just kidding. Go back.
But he was good. I liked because we talked a little bit about his channel and stuff. And he actually was really interesting. Discussing like what he wanted to do with his channel and how he saw his YouTube channel and stuff. It was just really interesting. He like opened up a lot.
Geek Glasses.
Yeah, he actually like opened up a lot, and I think later on he tweeted like thanking us for like having him on the show, on our podcast and everything. And he said that like it was actually a really good experience, and that he was like feeling he had suffered through different moments of like I guess depression or something along those lines, and like he was feeling especially down that day, and like doing the podcast like brightened him up that day or something like that. And it was like it was really sweet. But there was like I may have responded to the tweet like saying like, oh wow, like I didn't know that, but like of course I don't remember what I would have responded with. But yeah, no,
that's a nice story.
That was great. But no, he was really entertaining. Like he did a lot of the talking in that episode, because like I mean obviously when you have a guest on, you want them to do like a lot of the talking, because the whole point is they're the guest, they're there to like kind of talk about what they do and stuff. But he was he really went off with a lot of talking about his channel and what he wanted to do with it in the future, and how he felt stuck on YouTube, and how he wanted to like do something new with it, and like a lot of interesting stuff. So that was probably my personal favorite episode of the Nimcast.
All right. All right. Last question. What is the meaning of life, in your opinion?
I mean, I think everybody has a different idea of that.
So, what's your idea of the meaning of life?
So, I mean, like, I'm
Assuming
a Christian.
There is a meaning.
Assuming there is meaning, yes. I mean, I'm a Christian, so like, I believe in God and everything. I believe in Jesus, all that. So I guess I would have to say like, oh yes, like, following
you don't
Jesus
have to
and
say
stuff,
that.
which. Oh no, well no, I know, but like, so I guess I would say like following Jesus, which to me has always been like just being a good person and showing love to everyone on the earth as much as you can is like the main part of Christianity, the main thing. So that's one of the main things to me, is like just kind of doing what you do and hopefully making other people happy while you do it. Trying to make other people happy while you do it. I don't know. Something like that. I guess.
I like that. That's good. That's a good meaning of life. Everybody gets a different one. I'm gonna see if I make it a thing. Everyone gets a little meaning of what's the meaning of life, and then I'll get to see what their opinions on that are. Well, thank you for being on the show. That's all the questions.
No problem. Ooh. It only took 52 minutes. It says I've been recording.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having on the show. Links to your channel, I guess your Twitter accounts as well, in the description of this not live stream. I guess podcast. I can say it's interview, but it's podcast length.
I mean, yeah, the average YouTube podcast is about an hour long, I'd say. So yeah.
I'll stretch out the intro 5 minutes.
Gotcha. We'll get it to an hour.
We'll get it to an hour. Alrighty. Well, thank you for doing this.
No problem. Thanks for having me. It was a good time.